What's going on, everybody? Non here, and I normally don't like to touch on distribution and other stuff outside of my Sunday update, but this one is too important to pass up. So we've gotten a bunch of really important news across a couple hot games. So I said the title: games that are on fire. Some on fire good, some on fire burning to the ground. But I want to talk about these, and the first thing I want to talk about is let's talk about Gundam. And I'm using the free version of this website. Okay, there's nothing on here. Oh, good. Um, Gundam has a reprint coming that I just found out about. So, for those of you who don't know, GDO1, which is New Type Rising, and the first four starter decks came out in two waves. The first wave was right around July 25th, which was release date, which is very light. And then there was a second wave that came out about 3 weeks ago. My best guess is there's somewhere around 125,000 boxes, just based on best guess. And talking to some of my friends in the industry, there could be a little bit more, there could be a little bit less, but there is a reprint coming of New Type Rising and the first four starter decks. Now, the starter decks have, I believe, unique cards in them, which is why they're somewhat sought after. But from what I understand, this reprint is going to be relatively tiny. So, excuse me. It seems like it's going to be somewhere around 20% of what we got in the first two waves is what it feels like. It hasn't hit the purchase orders haven't hit everybody yet. But they're probably, if they haven't hit, they're going to hit like tomorrow. Now, when is delivery going to happen? That I don't know. So the orders seem to have coincided with Gundam Assemble, which, those of you who don't know, there's a cool add-on here where you have the actual card game, but you also have the paintable toys. I just call them paintable toys because it's kind of funny, where you put on top of the cards. So it's kind of like a tabletop / card game that you can turn it into. It seems like a lot of work for me, but it's cool looking. But I believe the Gundam Assemble was delayed until January of 2026, from what I can tell. I don't believe it was ever intended to come out and coincide with the original card game. I mean, I think a year ago it was, but for whatever reason it was delayed. So it could potentially be scheduled to come out in early January with Gundam Assemble, but I would imagine it's going to come out before then. And this might be the last amount of this that we get. Now, what's important is the MSRP on these boxes is $125. It's $4.99 a pack. So it's pretty expensive. Right now, there's about 140 boxes available on TCG Player loose boxes, selling through right around 30 to 40 a day on average. So the churn on this product a month and a half post-release is absolutely insane. I mean, these are like Pokemon numbers. There's so much selling through. And if you look at the singles, I mentioned this previously, if you look at the singles of OP12 versus Type Rising, GDO1, Gundam 01, Gundam's selling through about 60 to 70% of the quantity of the best-selling cards. And there's obviously some very expensive chase cards in Gundam as well, $600-700. So for those of you who don't know much about the game, it's on fire in a good way. There's a lot of organized play, a lot of play going on, but there's a lot of sell-through of not just the sealed product, but also the single. So I have been accumulating as much product as I can on the secondary market. Obviously, we're limited with what we can get directly through distribution through Bandai. But now is the time, if you're interested in owning the product, to accumulate. I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks with the second wave coming in and the prices pushing down to about $170. But what's interesting is the price of the boxes has not gone up. Stores continue to dump the boxes at $170, even though the market is super thin. So I'm taking advantage of it as I can, or as I'm able to, because once this last I'm going to call it last reprint. Once this last reprint hits, and again, once I have a more refined timeline, I'll let you guys know. This is probably gone for a very long time, because then they're going to be on to the second set in October, then the third set in January, and the fourth set in April. Then your 1 year anniversary with the fifth set, and we're off to the races. But as always, the first set is always going to be the banger to hold. So that's it on Gundam. I want to let's go to Pokemon, because Pokemon is another little bit of a mess. So for those of you who think that they could just push the FM button, which is the fucking magic button, and print out their ass and destroy the market, you have no idea what you're talking about. They are printing at max capacity. They've said they're printing at max capacity. What we're seeing now with waves is it's effectively a side effect of printing at max capacity, where you can print as much as you want through the factory, but then you have to get it through the pipeline from the factory to distribution to the end consumer. And that's where this process currently is breaking down. So doesn't mean it doesn't get fixed at some point in the future, but we're obviously getting 2 waves of Mega 1. We're getting 2 waves of Mega 2 with a smaller ratio in the first wave and a larger in the second wave than what we're seeing with Mega 1. And to make matters worse, the Elite Trainer boxes for Mega 1 are delayed. Now, I know some distributors received them today, some of them yesterday. I actually received an order today that had everything in for Wave 1, which was nice. But I've also had some distributors tell me that, hey, we may not have these to you until right around the 25th or 26th. So again, this is a byproduct of Pokemon pushing the envelope. It's in a high-speed wobble. The bolts are flying out of the machine because they are moving so quickly. They're making mistakes and making errors. No different than when we saw the Walmart 151 bundles with Obsidian Flames packs and Paldean Fates with Paradox Rift packs, I think. It's a byproduct of trying to do too much too fast, and it doesn't work. So with Pokemon, they're running into some serious print issues. Now, to make matters worse, I have been attempting to get some Prismatic Evolutions booster bundle displays, only printed in Europe. So, trying to figure out a way to import them for a reasonable price that makes sense. I found out today that Europe is getting a large restock of booster bundles. However, for those of you who don't know, Mega Evolutions 2 was initially moved from November 7th to November 14th because the Netherlands print facility is behind, which is now printing for all of Europe. Then they decided to move it back worldwide. I don't know if that was so there was no public execution in the Netherlands, or if it was just, you know what, we could use the week everywhere because we're behind. Yeah, let's just buy ourselves an extra 7 days. But the large booster bundle reprint, and this is going through Asmodee, is 25 booster bundle cases printed in the United States. So the Pokemon Company is now printing Prismatic Evolutions booster bundles, importing them to Europe because the European print facility can't print enough product for everything to go around. And for those of you who haven't done the research on the print facility, and I forget what the name is, I should know off the top of my head because I've read it so many times. They broke ground, I believe, in 2022, and it's a pretty massive facility, and all the lines I believe are now active. Like April, May timeframe this year was when they turned everything up. But they've had a lot of issues, and this isn't unique to Pokemon. This is just unique to manufacturing in general. When you build new lines, you have to test them, and as you adjust for speed and power and velocity, things tend to break, and you just have to fine tune, and then you have machines break down and downtime and this and that, and the best laid plan is going to fall apart due to some unforeseen break in the supply chain, because that's just the way the world works. The fact that these large companies are able to pump out as much product in a timely manner as they can is quite honestly a miracle of financial engineering and logistical engineering. But Pokemon is busting apart at the seams when it comes to printing because they are running on full capacity everywhere, and it's a challenge. Now, Mega Charizard EX. You guys are going to see a million people out there saying, hey, they're printing a ton of these, which they are. I said it 2 weeks ago. I've been copied quite a few times, which is fine. You're not going to find this under $200. I don't care what you do. Who was it? Double Infinity Gaming had a pre-release for like, or pre-selling this for like $229.99. That's as low as you're going to get. I mean, the packs in this thing are insane. The promos are going to be $20 each in this current market. Quite honestly, it's probably a $300 UPC out of the box with the packs. Again, it's 4 Mega 2, 4 Mega 1, 4 Destin, 4 JT, and 2 Surging Sparks. I don't know what else you want me to tell you, but buy it, sit on it. I have a hard time believing this is going to do the same thing that the Mega Charizard one did. I know a lot of you old heads have this magical thought in your head that this is like COVID. Drink heavily and forget that memory, because it's not. So, moving on. Magic the Smoldering. Magic the Gathering. So, Spider-Man is a flaming disaster. As I mentioned in my video yesterday, since there are no serialized cards, the expected value on the collector boxes, it looks like they are extremely, extremely spiky. You're either going to print or you are going to get wiped off the face of the earth with the EV, meaning you're going to get $400 or you're going to get $1,200. And there doesn't seem to be that much middle ground, which quite honestly is fine. But that being said, there were a lot of orders on Amazon that were canceled. Amazon brought more product to market, the same product to market for a different audience. But we found out that there is a second wave of collector boxes coming through distribution. So we found out today we are getting about 75% of what we got in the first wave of collector boxes. So I'm guessing that was either held back to create some FOMO, which is something that Wizards has done pretty effectively, quite honestly, or they were earmarked for Amazon and the sales kind of fell off a cliff, which I don't think that is the case, but there are more collector boxes coming to market. Now, I myself, I'm a buyer anywhere in the 500s. I think at the end of the day, it's a Universes Beyond set. They probably should be priced somewhere between $700 and $800. They're not going to be, because everybody's going to panic. Everybody's going to dump them. One of the most frequent panic calls that all of my reps are getting is, what the hell's happening with Spider-Man? And why are these only 1.5 times MSRP instead of 2.5 times? Which it's insane how quickly people just lose perspective on the current market. It wasn't too long ago where you pay, granted this was a standard set, you'd pay $183 for collector box and you're selling them at $225, and that's a good day in the office. And now you're paying $295, $300, whatever for these, and you're able to sell them for $600 or $700, and people are bitching because you can't sell them for $1,000 like Final Fantasy. It's absolutely insane. But I do want to mention, if you order these overseas, the Spider-Man collector boxes appear like they are printed in the USA, at least the ones that we got are. So you can use a return home code if you are having them shipped to you from Canada. A lot of people shop at Hobbiesville. That is a thing. I would email your person and just say, hey, these were printed in the US. They should be tariff exempt, which I have imported multiple times using this means for items that were printed in the USA. Returned to the USA, have not been modified or improved in value overseas over the last 3 years, which is what the code says. And I have had no issues. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to get a tariff grenade lob my way at some point in time in the future, but I shouldn't, based on the way that the current legislation is written. And that's without any of the Supreme Court stuff left and right. If you're returning American-made goods to the United States, they are exempt from tariff. So, however, the play boxes that we received are all printed in Japan, which is very, very interesting. If you guys recall, with Final Fantasy, the bulk of Wave 1 came from the US, wave 2 and wave 3. Some came from the US. Most of ours actually came from Japan. So it seems like they are printing more and more um, play boosters in Japan. I would imagine Avatar is going to be the same. I would just keep an eye on that. The tariffs are going to be in place when that releases. So, don't think otherwise. You're just going to drive yourself nuts. And then the last item I want to talk about really quickly, and I don't have any information on orders, but it does look like the Final Fantasy holiday, quote, holiday bundle is a thing. And it looks like there's scene boxes, and then there is what's called a Chocobo bundle, which appears to be a scene box and then a couple play booster packs. I don't know if there's promos in it. Does not appear that there's serialized cards in it. Now, I am withholding my opinion until I get more detail. But if it's a scene box and it's play boosters, it's going to be a disappointment of a missed opportunity. And Magic will have swung and missed 3 sets in a row, assuming Avatar is going to do what I think it's going to do. And hopefully people don't order Lorwyn so I can. And hopefully with Lorwyn, that's where they go back to serialized cards and remove their head from their ass. But it's Wizards. It's 9 months of stupid and 9 months of, falling in shit and coming out smelling like a rose. So we'll see what happens. But I thought this was important. I wanted to get this out there just so you guys know. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and have a good night.